Have you ever wondered how much time actually passes during the story of Resident Evil Requiem? Because when you play it, it doesn't feel short, it feels non-stop, like you're stuck in a nightmare that just keeps going with no breaks, no safety, and no time to breathe. And that raises one simple question: how much time is really passing? Capcom tells us the story takes place in October 2026, but they never tell us exactly when it begins or how long it lasts. There's no clear timeline, no exact starting point, nothing obvious. But if you look closely, there are clues hidden in plain sight, small details like clocks, documents, and timestamps that most players would easily miss. So instead of guessing, I went back into the game, used a free cam mod, and started tracking every single detail I could find. And what I found changes everything, because there is a real timeline, you just have to piece it together. So in this video, we're breaking it all down and finding out exactly how much time passes during the events of Resident Evil Requiem. So the first thing we need to figure out is when the story actually begins. As we know, the game opens early in the morning inside an FBI office, so that gives us a starting point, but not an exact time or date. So I used a free cam mod and started looking for any clue I could find. First, I checked the computer screens, hoping to find a system clock or a timestamp, but unfortunately, none of the computers showed any date or time. But then, I found something else, a clock inside the office. And if you look closely, it clearly shows 10:10 in the morning. So now we know one thing for sure. The story begins at around 10:10 a.m. But that still leaves one big question. What's the date? To figure that out, I started checking documents using the free cam. And inside one of the FBI files, I was able to see part of the page. And that's when I noticed something important. A submission date. October 6th, 2026. Now at first, that might seem like the answer, but it's not. That's just the date the file was submitted, not necessarily the current day. So I kept looking, searching for anything that could confirm the exact date. And then I realized something interesting. Resident Evil Requiem actually features a real-world watch, the Hamilton watch, worn by both main protagonists. So I took a closer look at the watch itself, and this time, everything was there. The watch clearly shows both the time and the date, October 7th, 10:10 a.m. Which means the story doesn't start on the 6th, it starts the very next day. So now we know for sure, Resident Evil Requiem officially begins on October 7th, 2026 at 10:10 in the morning. Now in the next scene, we see Grace again, but this time it's raining. If you're thinking she went to investigate the scene on the same day, you'd be completely wrong. If you watch closely, you can clearly see the date, October 8th, almost 5:30 p.m. This tells us that Grace actually went to the crime scene the next day. Maybe it's because it's far away from the office, or maybe she needed some time to prepare. We honestly don't know the reason. After that, Grace heads inside the hotel. Once she gets rid of that persistent policeman, she finally encounters Victor Gideon for the first time. And in a chilling move, Victor puts her to sleep at exactly 6:40 p.m. Then the scene shifts and we see Leon sitting in the car. He spots Victor carrying Grace along the road at exactly 7:25 p.m., which immediately makes you wonder, what on earth was Victor doing to her for 45 whole minutes? Bruh. After that, we see Grace waking up from her forced sleep. She's tied up and lying upside down, struggling to free herself. Once she manages to get out of that mess, our eyes catch a very old clock showing 11:08 p.m. This means Grace was unconscious for over 4 hours. Well, anyway, she doesn't waste any time. She continues solving puzzles, escaping from zombies, and rescuing Emily from the basement. Finally, after all that chaos, she manages to escape the care center at 5:19 a.m., meaning it took her over 6 hours to get out of the building. Earlier, we also saw Leon Kennedy tied up inside the same building. This time, the game tells us that Leon was trapped there around 4:41 a.m. on October 9th. By the time Leon is moving inside the care center, Grace has already left. After escaping, Grace heads to get the helicopter keys. She manages to secure the key, and the next sequence, from her getting the key to Emily turning into a monster and Leon saving Grace, happens at 6:21 a.m. This means only about an hour has passed since Grace escaped the care center. In the very next moment, Grace encounters Victor and Zeno. It's a sudden meeting. Why is Victor even seeing Grace like this?
Bruh.
The moment passes quickly as the story moves forward. Meanwhile, Leon S. Kennedy is driving his Porsche toward Raccoon City. He reaches the city at approximately 10:50 a.m., ready to continue his mission. Not long after arriving, he encounters the giant Spider-Man, an immediate obstacle he must overcome. After handling that, Leon solves a series of puzzles and navigates a motorbike ride that pushes him through the city efficiently. By 2 p.m., he finally comes face to face with Zeno. From there, Leon faces multiple boss fights, moving step by step toward the final challenge. He arrives at the final boss battle around 5:35 p.m., having spent hours dealing with enemies, obstacles, and puzzles. After defeating the final threat, he reunites with Grace. When we see the watch again, it shows exactly 6 p.m. Now, most people think the story ends there, but that's not actually true. Moments later, we see several quick shots, the care center, Emily, and even some TV report scenes. But none of those are the most important part. Shortly after, we see Grace again, this time inside the office. A lot of people assume she went back to the office the very next day, but that's actually incorrect. If you pay close attention to her watch, you can clearly see the number 21. This most likely means October 21st, which tells us something very important. Grace returns to the office after about 2 weeks, not the next day. That gap in time changes how we understand the ending, showing that there was a break between the main events and this final moment. Now finally, how much time actually passes in Resident Evil Requiem? Well, it really depends on which character you're looking at. If we follow Grace's timeline, her story begins on October 7th and ends on October 21st. That gives us a total of 15 days for her story. It's a longer timeline, with gaps in between, showing that not everything happened in a single continuous run. On the other hand, Leon's timeline is completely different. Leon first appears on October 8th at around 6 p.m., and his story ends at exactly 6 p.m. the next day. That means Leon goes through everything, arriving in the city, fighting enemies, solving puzzles, and reaching the final battle, all within just 24 hours. And honestly, that's insane.